Good day, everyone. For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin today in the United States, where Barack Obama, the president, has signed a bill authorizing greater sanctions against Russia over the situation in Ukraine. Now, while the White House says that it has no immediate intentions to use the power to implement heavier sanctions, the bill would allow President Barack Obama to enforce prohibitions on U.S. investments in Russia's energy sector, specifically the gas company Gazprom. Russia would also be prohibited from dealing with U.S. banks. The legislation would further facilitate Washington's shipment of lethal weaponry to the Ukraine government in order to assist in its fight against pro-Russian rebels in the eastern part of the country. It comes despite the fact that Ukraine's army has been criticized in recent days by the UN for its vast human rights abuses. President Barack Obama has also signed legislation to impose sanctions on Venezuela. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro rejected the new aggression being imposed by the United States against his country. Through his Twitter account, Maduro reminded supporters that President Obama admitted that the U.S. government's 50 years of sanctions against Cuba failed. Maduro described Obama's position as, quote, the contradictions of imperialism, and warned that sanctions were bound to backfire. For more now on these U.S. sanctions, we go to our correspondent Rachel Boothroyd here in Caracas.
Thanks, Cody. Here, people are reacting to the news that yesterday U.S. President Barack Obama signed sanctions against Venezuela, meaning that a number of government officials will have their U.S. visas revoked, as well as their assets confiscated in the U.S. Now, the Venezuelan people have generally responded to this news very calmly and are continuing to enjoy the festive season, although there is a sense of widespread indignation that the US government lacks the moral authority to criticize Venezuela on human rights violations or to meddle in Latin America's internal affairs. What we have to remember is that these sanctions come just after a report emerged detailing mass human rights abuses committed by the CIA in Afghanistan. Last night we also saw Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro respond to the sanctions, which he described as insolent. He said that the US government had made a wrong move against the people of Venezuela. As always, we will do our best to keep you updated. My name is Rachel Boothroyd, reporting for Telesur from Caracas, Venezuela.
Thanks for that update from Rachel. Staying with U.S.-Latin American relations, details following Barack Obama's announcement on Wednesday easing the 53-year-old blockade on Cuba remain to be announced. Experts consider that executive action by President Obama to loosen restrictions in trade and other areas with the island will take time. Meanwhile, Republican lawmakers have already announced they will block any attempt to designate an ambassador to Cuba. Conservatives are also questioning the authority of U.S. president to make such a significant shift in policy without going through Congress. Meanwhile, many Cubans who are celebrating the release of the remaining Cuban 5 prisoners recognize that there is still much work to be done.
I think that this is a journey that begins with a step. But this step is an irreversible one. It is decisive. It is a brave step. Of course, the lifting of the blockade requires the approval of Congress and of sectors that are not necessarily on board with Obama. But what I see is that steps like these will have results that may encourage others to change their position.
We now go to Mexico with our continuing coverage of the missing students of Ayotzinapa. Family members are remembering the 43 abducted students through a Christmas commemoration in Mexico City. Meanwhile, protesters staged a demonstration in front of the 27th Infantry Military Base on Thursday. The parents of the missing student are demanding that soldiers give them more information on the whereabouts of their children. For more now on the demonstrations in Mexico, we go to our correspondent there, Clayton Kahn. Clayton.
Yesterday afternoon and into the evening, parents of the disappeared now 42 Ayotzinapa students blocked the entrance of the 27th Infantry Battalion Army Base in the outskirts of Iguala Guerrero, the site where the Ayotzinapa students were attacked by police on the night of September 26th. The parents denounced the military for its lack of response on the night of the attack, informing state public security officials nearly 6 hours after at least 2 students were attacked and killed by local authorities. There's also wide speculation that the military had some kind of role in the attack and later disappearance of the students. However, no hard evidence to prove or disprove this has emerged. The military base is located 3 kilometers or roughly 5 minutes by car from where the attack occurred. The whereabouts of the 42 students still remains unknown, although the federal authorities believe they were murdered and later incinerated. This is Clinton Khan reporting for Telesur here in Mexico City.
And we go to Bolivia, where President Evo Morales has criticized the disappearance of the Ayotzinapa students. Morales said during a police graduation that the violence in Mexico is a reflection of a failed drug war policy in a free market system. The Bolivian president further argued that criminal groups in Mexico seem to be above the state. The Mexican government rejected Morales' statement and expressed concern over his remarks. And in the United States, a new leaked document by WikiLeaks shows that Central Intelligence Agency officials have admitted that drone killings are in fact ineffective. Despite the fact that the report was originally published in 2009, the U.S. has continued its targeted killings with drones and has even stepped up strikes in recent years. The report reveals that drone attacks are actually helping jihadist and insurgent groups to garner more support from local populations. Turning now to Gaza, where many Palestinians are denying Israeli claims that a rocket was launched into Israeli territory from Palestine. Any such move would violate the ceasefire agreement between both sides. With more on the back and forth, here's our correspondent Noor Harazin.
According to the Israeli media, a rocket that was fired from the Gaza Strip landed in southern Israel, causing no damage and no injuries. However, here in the Gaza Strip, officials have been denying the Israeli claims, saying that no rockets fired from Gaza and there was no violations from the Palestinian side. On the other hand, in the West Bank, Palestinian clashes with the Israeli forces in a protest near Ramallah. The Palestinian medical sources said that over 9 Palestinians got injured with the Israeli rubber bullets and tear gas that was fired in this protest.
The International Atomic Energy Agency released a new report on Friday showing that Iran is fulfilling its commitments to ongoing nuclear talks. The report comes as the talks are extended to January 2015. The Iranian government has hailed the dialogue, describing it as, quote, useful and helpful. Sony Films has decided to cancel the release of the comedy film The Interview after North Korean hackers threatened repercussions. The film's plot revolves around 2 journalists on a mission to kill North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Now, according to leaked emails, Sony executives believe the film is, quote, desperately boring and repetitive and would not actually be successful in theaters abroad. The emails are now putting into question whether the decision made by the company responds to the threats or to economic considerations. When we're not on the air, check out our website at telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle. Have a great weekend.